You're listening to Hawk Talk with former Seahawks wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
Play fake, going to roll right, dumps it off into the right flat to Michael Bumpus, who bounces off of one tackler, gets inside the 40, down to the 35-yard line.
Powered by Seahawks.com.
Matt pump fakes, looking to the goal line. He throws it into the end zone. Touchdown Seahawks! It's Michael Bumpus with a diving catch in the end zone. A 10-yard touchdown reception for Bumpus, and the kid out of Washington State has found himself a place on this team.
Now, here's your host, Nasser Kyobe.
Welcome into another edition of Hawk Talk. This time the Seahawks go back east, get the job done, beating the New England Patriots 23-20 in overtime. Head coach Mike Macdonald gets his first road win as a Seahawks head coach and helping carry on the tradition of winning road games that start at 10 a.m. Bump. It was great to see. It was really fun to see. Hard-fought battle as the Seahawks went down there and took care of business against the Patriots.
Yeah, it was stressful, right? But they got her done. There's some things that need to be corrected, as always, after a game. Nothing's going to be perfect, but, hey, 2-0, went to the East, come back west, and get ready to go.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, let's waste no more time about it. Let's figure out what had happened.
What had happened was.
On Hawk Talk.
Well, this was the first kind of weird, heart-stopping game, obviously, in the Mike Macdonald era. There's only been 2 games, Bump. Last week, it started slow, but the Seahawks in the second half, I felt, kind of took control early on, and you never really felt like the game was out of reach or in serious jeopardy. This game, very different. Game started with both teams trading punts. Then the Patriots, on the second possession, marched right down the field, going 8 plays, 60 yards, ending with a 5-yard touchdown to former UW standout Jalen Polk. That made the score 7-0. Seahawks would answer quickly with a 4-play, 72-yard drive of their own, ending with a 56-yard touchdown to DK Metcalf, which might be the most wide open I think he's ever been in his entire career, but we'll definitely talk about that later. That tied things up at 7 apiece, Bump.
Yeah, but then the Patriots, they responded, right? They go 15 plays, 60 yards, but have to settle for a field goal. We accept that. That made the score 10-7. On the next drive, once again, they found the end zone. The Seahawks, they go 11 plays, 70 yards. That would end on a 1-yard Zach Charbonnet run. That put the Seahawks ahead 14-10. Both teams would add field goals, and the Hawks will go into the locker room with a 17-13 lead. Feeling okay. Not great, but feeling okay.
Yeah, absolutely. One of those things where you're like, okay, they could play better, but you still feel good about it. It's an early start against a team, quite frankly, Bump, that's a lot better than most people thought they were. I think the Patriots are a physical football team. I think they're very well coached, and that was on full display in that first half. Then the second half came around, and that's where things got a little shaky for the Seahawks. First drive of the second half, they would drive all the way down to the Patriots' 23-yard line. Unfortunately, Seahawks running back Zach Charbonnet was stopped on 4th down. The Seahawks would have to settle for no points. The next 4 drives, they would end in punts, and the momentum really started to shift to the Patriots. They really got to gash the Seahawks on the ground, capping 11-play, 66-yard drive with Ramondre Stevenson getting into the end zone. That made the score 20-17 New England early in the fourth quarter. The Hawks would punt on their next drive, and the Patriots would march down the field again, but Byron Murphy and Leonard Williams come together with a huge sack on 3rd down, making the Patriots have to settle for a field goal. That's when the kick was blocked by Julian Love, keeping the score at 20-17, keeping the Seahawks in the game, Bump.
Yeah, that was crucial, man. J Love, and the story behind that, he said it during the postgame. He goes, look, I told Rick Willen, let's switch. Let me get after this. I'm going to block this kick. And he blocks the kick. He continues to deliver. So the Hawks will get the ball back, and they drive down. They kick a field goal, and they force overtime. You lose the toss. Tails never fails. I guess it does, because heads was the call. And the Patriots got the ball first. The Hawks defense came up with a big 3-and-out. Dotson with a nice stop. Jay Reed helped out with that. The Seahawks will get the ball. They go down the field. Patriots 13-yard line, kick a field goal. Boom, 23-20 win. It was stressful, but it got done.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of things that we'll talk about here about the positives and the negatives from that game. But one of the great things, the Seahawks held the Patriots to just 125 yards passing. Unfortunately, the Patriots had a really good game on the ground, rushing for 185 yards. Obviously not something the Seahawks want to allow. But offensively, the Seahawks outgained the Patriots 358-310. Seahawks would lose a time possession battle, but did not turn the ball over and made enough plays to pull out a tough road win. Definitely lots to improve on, but the Seahawks get the job done and remain first place in the NFC West. But, Bump, there was a ton of people out there making plays. Let's get into the Playmakers.
Touchdown, Seahawks!
Playmakers.
Show them what time it is.
Holy catfish!
As we do most weeks, Bump, we're going to start with the quarterback, Geno Smith, who had an amazing game, 33 of 44, 327 yards, 1 touchdown. He completed 75% of his passes, even though Seattle had 5 drops in that game. Geno passed Rick Mirer for 5th place on Seattle's all-time passing completions list with 842. He also passed Rick for 5th place in Seattle's all-time passing yards list with 9,138. Geno played amazing. His completion percentage could have been over 80%, really put the team on his back. And it was great to see him kind of flourish in this Ryan Grubb offense and get all the receivers involved, Bump.
Yeah, the thing is, he knew maybe a quarter into the game that he was going to have to be the guy to do all the heavy lifting. The run game didn't seem like it was working. Receivers dropped a couple balls at that point. He knew, like, look, I have to lead the charge. And I'm sure him and Ryan Grubb had those conversations, like, come on, make good decisions, and you'll be good to go. His first game-winning drive of the season last year, he had 5, which led the NFL. He's off to a great start, man. His mobility in the pocket, he keeps his eyes down the field. He looked like he was in complete control. Let's give you mentioned receivers. Let's give receivers some love. DK Metcalf had 8 receptions for 129 and a touchdown. Had a big 56-yard reception on a blown coverage, but you still got to throw. You still got to catch it. He passed Tyler Lockett, Darrell Jackson for the most receptions in a player's 6 seasons with the squad, 385 of them things. And he also passed Darrell Jackson for the second place in franchise history for the most yards in a player's first 6 seasons with 5,490. So that's one receiver. Here's the other receiver, Jackson Smith and Jigba. He had 12 receptions for 117 on 16 targets, all career highs. Before then, his career highs were 7 receptions for 63 yards. Dang near doubled that right there from this one game. Dang near doubled it. So it was nice to see Jackson Smith and Jigba get going early. We knew he was a part of the game plan after the first couple of series.
Without question. I think it's really cool to see both receivers have one of the better days in franchise history in terms of how many receptions they have, double-digit receptions, and then both going over 100 yards. I believe that's the first time that's happened. So definitely big to see that, and that's exactly what we've kind of waiting on from JSN, and we know all the talent he had coming out of Ohio State. Showed glimpses of what he could do last year, but I'm really excited to see what he can do this year in this offense. Flipping over to the defensive side of the ball, one of the standouts I want to highlight, Boye Mafe, Bump, man. 5 tackles, 1 sack, 1 TFL, 2 quarterback hits. Probably could have had up to 4 sacks. He was so active. He was in the backfield the whole game. Was really cool to see. Obviously, he would hope to get a couple more of those sacks, and I think he's going to as the season goes on. But to just see him that active and that disruptive, I can't tell you how many times we saw Jacoby Brissett get up, grimacing, grabbing his side or his chest, all this stuff, because our guys were definitely bringing pressure all game long. So that was cool to see. And then just backing into the back 7, we had Rayshon Jenkins. He had 9 tackles, 4 solo. And then Tyrell Dotson had 8 tackles, 4 solo as well. And then I'll cap it off, Bump, with Julian Love, 7 tackles, 1 pass defended. And one of the biggest plays of the game, which, again, we'll talk to in a second, was that block field goal. We'll break that down a little bit. But, no, just, great to see this defense. While it wasn't as clean as it was a week before against the Broncos, it was still very good. They kept them under, 20 points was a good thing to see. And, they bended a little bit, but they didn't break, so that was good to see from this defense, Bump. We just kind of talked about it a little bit. Let's get back to the receivers. Take us through the roundup, Bump.
All right, receiver roundup, like I mentioned, DK had 10 receptions, 129, 1 touchdown on 14 targets. Jackson Smith and Jigba had 12 for 117 on 16 targets. That's 30 targets out of the 44 that Geno attempted. So they were trying to feed these guys. Zach Charbonnet had 5 for 31 yards. You had Tyler Lockett with 2 for 15. Also drew 2 big pass interferences, one in the end zone, one later in the game, and had a big catch to kind of seal the deal for these guys. Jake Bubble had 2 for 15. Noah Fant had 1 for 14. You have Laviska Shenault 1 for 6. So you got it's heavy at the top, and you sprinkle in everybody else, and you got Geno completing 33 of 44 and doing his thing.
Yeah, man. We talked about it in week one, how it was going to be, we expected those guys to have a much bigger game the following week, and that definitely came to fruition against the Patriots. Now let's get into some of the plays of the game. So these are kind of some of the biggest plays that we thought had a huge impact in the Seahawks winning the game, and things got going right away on that second drive for the Seahawks offense as DK Metcalf hooked up, or Geno Smith hooked up DK Metcalf for a 56-yard touchdown.
Geno slows everything down again. Charbonnet is lined up wide to the near side. And in the slot is DK Metcalf. Motion back inside his fan. Blitz is coming. Geno's going to let it fly. DK's wide open. 10, 5, strides in, touchdown, Seahawks. The Seahawks got just what they wanted. They got a blitz and single coverage, and DK Metcalf ran right past the secondary. Wide open, Geno laid it on him. A 56-yard touchdown strike, and we're a point away from being tied here in Foxborough.
Bump, take us through that play just from a standpoint of what happened to the Patriots defense, because DK Metcalf is probably never going to be that wide open again in his career.
No, he probably isn't. And so this is what happens, man. It's an empty formation. And what I think the offense did a great job of doing is pre-snap movement, showing Geno, okay, what are they in? Is it man? Is it zone? So they're in empty, 3-by-2, 3 to the right of Geno, 2 to the left of Geno. You got DK in the slot. Your motion, I believe that is Charbonnet over, or maybe a tight end. You motion your man over to protect on the backside of Geno, the left side of Geno. Actually, that's the front side, left side of Geno. And you have one-on-one with DK and Gonzalez. I'm looking at Gonzalez, and it looks like he's dropping to the flat. What that tells me is he thinks that corner on the outside of him has a deep third or a quarter for some reason. That's not the case. There's a miscommunication going on there. DK just does a great job of releasing, getting outside, and now just running as fast as you can and having Geno just drop a dime on you. That is the easiest touchdown DK's ever had in his career. I don't expect another one like it. But Geno still had to recognize the blown coverage, toss it up to DK. DK did the rest.
Honestly, I think those sometimes are the most nerve-wracking plays in football when it's so wide open and you're just like, oh, I got all the time in the world. And as a receiver, Bump, obviously you would know this, running out under the football must feel like the ball's in the air for a million hours. But moving on to the next big play of the game, I talked about earlier, Julian Love. He's been making plays since he got to Seattle. Huge week one game against the Broncos, and he was definitely active defensively. But the biggest play of the game, the Patriots are driving down. They're looking to go up 6, but Julian Love comes in and blocks the field goal attempt.
We've still got a ball game and a chance for the Seahawks to come back and win this thing. There's the field goal attempt. It's blocked, and it's going to roll back into the end zone and out of the back of the end zone. So the Seahawks defense, what they need to do, I believe, it might have been either Love or Morris. Everybody's congratulating Julian on the near side. It must have been him.
It indeed was Julian, Bump. The thing I loved about this play is blocking kicks is a lot of technique. If you're coming from the outside, you're definitely trying to fully extend, take that good angle, take it off the foot. But when you're on the inside, it's about getting skinny, right? It's about getting through the line like that. Julian Love slid in between. Perfect block, great execution, and a huge time play for Julian Love.
Oh, this is big, man. He called a shot. He told everyone on that special teams unit, look, we're going to block this kick. And you have no other choice, because if the Patriots make that, you're in a completely different situation, and you didn't give yourself the best opportunity to win this ball game. So to call your shot, to switch positions with somebody, then go out there and execute it, man, J Love is floating right now. He's not even human. He's walking on water. He must have the most confidence in the world right now. J Love clutch 2 weeks in a row, man. He's had some big time plays.
Yeah, Julian Love definitely living up to that Pro Bowl billing, definitely living up to that extension that he got. He's definitely making plays for this Seahawks team. And then another big play defensively. This was huge in overtime. Obviously, with the overtime rules, the Seahawks lost a toss. If the Patriots go down and score a touchdown, the game is over. Not only did the Seahawks stop them from scoring touchdown, they stopped them in 3 plays, big part to this big-time stop on third down by Tyrell Dodson and Jaron Reed on Ramondre Stevenson.
I can guess what the Patriots are going to do right here on third. The Hawks kind of load up at the line of scrimmage. Brissett turns, hands to Stevenson. Flag is down. Oh, Brissett is stopped short. I think he's even short of the line of scrimmage. He might have even lost a half a yard. Might have been motion. Let's see what happens here as Brissett thinks it's against the Seahawks. Procedure call.
Illegal formation number 70 was on the end of the line, did not report. The ruling on the field is the runner short of the line to gain. That penalty's declined, 4th down.
So there it is. Huge stop. This gives the Seahawks the ball back. Geno Smith leads the offense right down the field for the game-winning field goal. Now, Bump, the cool thing about this, I guess I should say, is, watching Dotson, he flew around against the Broncos, shoots his gap, makes the play. But what stood out to you here, and why were they able to, after struggling to stop the run all game, come up big in this 3rd and 1?
Every now and then you get juiced up and you realize, okay, this could be the game right here. And I think that's what we saw right here. You got Jacoby Brissett under center and with split backs there. What they do with one of the backs is they show a little orbit move, not even an orbit motion. He just swings to the right, which is going to pull defenders with him and make linebackers have to guess whether you're going to hand it off to the other running back for the dive or swing it there. They guess correctly or diagnose correctly. And it's all about the big boys up front. Man, the big boys get a push on that offensive line, that push we haven't seen all game, really. They got that superpower strength. And Dotson fills the gap. And once he fills it, he wraps up and keeps his feet moving. Drive until you hear that whistle or you get that man on the ground. Such a big play for this team. Again, you can break down several plays. You got this 3rd down. You have the field goal block. You got the heavy run by Charbonnet. You can always narrow it down to 5 or 6 plays that really change the game. This is one of them. Give your offense an opportunity to go ahead and win it.
Absolutely. Love to hear that from these guys. And the cool thing about this is just a tip of the iceberg for how good this team could be defensively. You need some of these games early on. I was speaking with Chris Whitehead, one of our guys in our PR department, and just talking about how this was a game where the Seahawks maybe in other years don't win this game, but they win it because of how the guys banded together. And it's not a game that, at the end of the season, you're kicking yourself. You're like, man, we were in contention. We could have won it. Last year, there was a game at Cincinnati that the Seahawks probably thought they should have won. There's the 2 Rams games. But this is a game where it was definitely could have gone either way. So it was really cool to see the Seahawks pull that one out and get the job done, setting up the best formation in football. That's a victory formation as the Seahawks get it done.
Here comes the Seahawks offense onto the field and the Vikings defense trudging out there, knowing that one kneel down and the Seahawks are going to wind the clock down and win this one.
It's the victory formation on Hawk Talk.
Wasn't always pretty, but the Seahawks pick up the huge road win in Mike McDonald's road debut there, beating the Patriots. Offense struggled at times, but guys like Geno Smith, DK Metcalf, Jackson Smith-Njigba, they had enormous games putting the team on their back. Everyone did just enough to help get this thing done. Geno Smith, yet again, led the Seahawks on a game-winning drive, and the Seahawks had 2 100-yard receivers and a 300-yard passer for the first time since December of 2022, so things were looking real good there, Bump.
Yeah, defense struggled, right? They gave up 185 yards on the ground, but when it was time to make a play, man, and they did exactly that. So that's what it comes down to sometimes. This is football. This is NFL. You're not going to blow everybody out. You can't sleep on anybody. And the New England Patriots are a better team than what people thought they were going to be. So now they're 2-0. They got the Dolphins coming into town Sunday without Tua. Here's an opportunity for you, all right? Opportunity to go 3-0 and solidify yourself in this division because it's kind of shaky right now. It's kind of shaky, but down the Dolphins on Thursday.
Yeah, no, it's great. Anytime you can stack wins, not knowing how the season's going to shake out. We know the Niners are a good football team. We're learning about the Cardinals being a good football team. The Rams lost a couple games. They got blown out. That doesn't mean they're not going to come back. So anytime you can stack wins and say you're in first place in the NFL is a great feeling. So Seahawks get her done 23-20 against the New England Patriots in overtime. Super happy that they got that done. Me and Bump will be back with you on Thursday, or actually you'll see, Thursday this week, breaking down the next opponent, the Miami Dolphins, coming to Lumen Field. Super excited, looking forward to it. Remember, we got a lot of other good podcasts on our network, Insiders with Jen and John, Big Race Garage Grind, Seahawks Stories, The Huddle, Hawks Live, and Seahawks Rewind. Seahawks win 23-20 over the New England Patriots. Talk to you guys next time.